Assalamu alaikum. Today we're going to teach how to translate. I'm going to adopt a cognitive approach proposed by Roger Bell. But before that, I'm going to touch on many approaches by different scholars. Last lecture, we distinguished between translation as a process and translation as a product. And today, we're going to focus on translation as a process only. And we have two levels, if you remember. The micro level and the macro level. Today, we're going to focus on the micro level only, the work achieved by the translator only, either in a classroom or outside in a realistic situation. Building on linguistic and psycholinguistic perspectives, Roger Bell, 1991, stated that the translation process at its macro level mainly happens within memory. And he divided the process of translation into two main phases. The first one, the analysis. You have to analyze the text. And the second one, how to rewrite, how to re-express. And he used the word synthesis, means writing. And we have, according to this approach, we have 5 steps. The first one is visual recognition of the lexical items. If you are asked to translate a text, written text, and then the first step you have to start with reading in order to understand. Because if you don't understand, you cannot translate. Sometimes you read, but you don't understand. And in this case, you have to do something. You have to activate a number of processes. The bottom-up process, you start with the linguistic materials in order to have a mental image, and then from that mental image you start another process. They call it top-down process. You use that mental image that you have already formed from the text, and then in order to understand some linguistic materials that you failed to understand. And for Roger Bell, this is not enough. Sometimes you activate these two processes, but you don't understand. In this case, you have to what? You have to consult the pieces of information stored into your own mind from previous reading. Therefore, we encourage you as translators to read more. And for me, this is also not enough. Sometimes you are a good reader, you try to analyze the text, you do your best, you shoot your bolt, but you don't understand. In this case, also you have to consult your social, cultural experiences, your experiences in life. Sometimes also you fail to understand the text. In this case, you have to adopt another approach, interpretive approach. You have to follow your feeling and your intuition. So here, the first step in this approach is visual recognition. You have to read and recognize some words while you highlight some other words as difficult words. And then you open up your dictionary and try to find the denotative meaning. And also you have to distinguish between the denotative meaning and the textual meaning or connotative meaning. Sometimes the dictionary suggests something, but you don't like to use it. Why? Because you feel it doesn't make sense, or it will strike the target language reader as unusual. The second one is syntactic parsing. What does this word mean? When you hear syntactic from syntax, and the second one is parsing. Anybody can tell me? What is syntactic parsing? Yes?
The structure of the sentence?
Yes, I agree with you. More than this? What we call it in Arabic? Nora? No? Ali?
بنية الجملة?
Okay, yeah. Syntax means what? The structure of the sentence. But parsing means i'rab. So this is your duty as a translator to do i'rab, parsing. Syntactic parsing. You have to know the type of the sentence. Is it simple, compound, complex? And then there is no need to go deeper to tell me every single word. No, just this is the main verb, this is the subject, and this is the connector, and so on. That will help you when you start translating. Also, this will help you to understand the text. And the third one is you start looking for the equivalence of the words. So you start mechanism of lexical search. If you have difficulty, and then you have to stop and start looking for the meaning of that word, either by using your dictionary or no. Sometimes you ask your friend, your teacher, you go to Google, you try to Google the word, and so on. And then the fourth one, you activate the semantic and the pragmatic processing. Why? Because you start word by word, you try to translate, you try to find equivalence to the word, you have it in the source text, but it is not enough. Why? Because this is not natural, it's not acceptable translation. So, and then you start activating the semantic and pragmatic processing. And when you finish, you're going to have a draft, and then you start You start encoding the input or the draft semantically, pragmatically, and lexicogrammatically, and I could add stylistically. So you work on your draft. Now, let's start comparing the compare it with the interpretive approach. So this is the cognitive approach, and we have another approach called cognitive approach. Called interpretive approach. The interpretive approach, also known as the theory of sense. Why? Because your duty as a translator to elicit, to figure out the sense of the sentence, the meaning. And it is originally designed to reflect the processes which are involved in conference interpreting. But later also they use it to deal with the written translation. And proponents of this approach, Danica, 1968, and Mariana, 1981, distinguish between correspondence and equivalence. Could you suggest a translation for these two terms, correspondence and equivalence? How do you translate these two words? We are familiar with equivalence. We discussed that many times. But if somebody asks you, how do you translate correspondence? Yes, Ali?
التطابق.
تطابق. What about equivalence?
التكافؤ.
تكافؤ. Oh yeah, it makes sense. Okay, تكافؤ. And here I suggest تقابل.
Yeah.
So, makes sense, I think. But for them, for this approach, they distinguish between what? Between correspondence and equivalence. For us, I mean, the rest of scholars, no, they don't distinguish. And I think later, neither 1964, he used the word equivalence, but later he corrected himself and used what? Correspondent or correspondence. Maybe, I'm not sure, maybe he was influenced by this school, because this school started in 1970s. They said when you have correspondence for the source, text, lexical item, there is no need to go to the second stage. You move from understanding into what? Into the third stage, which is re-expressing in the typed language. But if you don't have correspondence, no, you have to do what? You have to do the second step, which is what? The verbalizing the stage. Means what? The actual wording is divorced from the linguistic and stylistic norms of the language. You see here, we have, they suggest three, and later somebody called Jim Delisle, 1980s I guess, he added the fourth one. So you have to understand. I think we have an agreement. Now, in order to translate, you have to understand. If you don't understand, you cannot translate. So you have to understand. In order to understand the source text, you have to do a lot of things. Different if you translate from Arabic into English or from English into Arabic. Because you are a native speaker of Arabic, I think we don't have a problem in theory, no, in practice. In practice, sometimes you have a problem when we translate from Arabic into English. But when you translate from English into Arabic, I think that the most difficult part is how to understand the text. So you have to work on yourself. This is the first step in the interpretive approach. You have to understand. Yes, we agree. The second one is you have to de-verbalize the text in order to get what the sense. The sense we can translate into what? Into zubda. And similar to something proposed by Snyder, 1964, kernel sentence. Kernel sentence means what? Later we're going to discuss it. Means also zubda. And the third one, you start what? You start re-expressing the sense in the target language. You have to pay attention to the linguistic and stylistic norms of the target language. And they add, as I told you, Ginny and DeLay in 1980 added the fourth one, verification. Means what? Back translate. When you finish, please, they said, try to back translate your draft in order to put a finger on what? On the addition, omission, manipulation, etc. So this is interpretive approach. We are not interested today in this approach. We have something completely different, but we try to compare. Let's move to the second one. Let's compare it with Snyder, or Snyder's linguistic approach. 1964, he said the process of translation at its micro level starts from the surface structure. He divided the structures into two types, surface structures and deep structures. And being influenced by Chomsky, 1957, he said deep structures do not change. But what change is the surface structure only. Therefore, when you translate, you start what? You start reading, analyzing, okay, interpreting in order to comprehend the source text. Means what? You start working on the surface structure. The surface structure on the piece of paper, or somebody might say it. So this is the surface structure. You go what? You go to deep structure. And then deep structure, you try to find what? The kernel sentence. The kernel sentence similar to what? To the sentence. Means what? Zubda. And then you transfer the kernel sentence into the target language. But this is not enough. And then you start working on the target language kernel sentence by adding, manipulating, recasting, omitting, etc. in order to have another surface structure within the target language. And if you remember my examples, sometimes I have some examples. Last week we practiced on this sentence. I need you now to know the deep structure of these sentences. Let's start with this sentence. أنا ما عندي رصيد. Okay. أنا ما عندي رصيد. خابرني. خوش أو ضرب. And now we have a sentence like that. We have what? This is the surface. خابرني. خوش أبو ضرب. This is the surface structure. I need you to go deeper to what? To the deep structure. Okay? So here we don't have problem with what? أنا ما عندي رصيد.
Yes.
Means what? أنا ما عندي رصيد. In standard Arabic ليس لدي رصيد.
Yes.
Or رصيدا. So you have to know the grammar of Arabic. ليس. Okay? ترفع الأول وتنصب الثاني. Anyhow. So it should be رصيد. ليس لدي ما عندي رصيد. And number خابرني, we don't have a problem with this. And خوش, I think you need to what? You need to go to the deeper. خوش means what? Okay. Means, yeah, if you translate, you have ready equivalence and then okay. And then Abu Darub. The surface structure Abu Darub means what? Father, the mental image, Abu, Rajul, okay, maybe with عقال, or maybe no, and Darub, طريق. This is the surface structure. I needed to go to the deep structure, you know, to what is the meaning, the deep structure, what is the sense according to the interpretive approach, what is the kernel sentence according to Snyder's 1964, what is the function of Abu Darub. I think we have an agreement. Abu Darub means what? اللوتي اللي عنده تصريفه اللي من ما تجي له يطلع لك. Okay. Now let's
go to the context.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, always we use the context. Yeah, and then here you know the meaning, and then you try to transfer the kernel sentence. You try to transfer the function of Abu Darub into what? Into another kernel sentence, and then you play toys with what? with the target language kernel sentence in order to provide us with a translation. So how do you translate the whole sentence? Anybody? Yes, Ali.
It's in Arabic again.
ما عندي رصيد. رصيد. Do you have problem with رصيد at the semantic level?
No, just the.
ما عندي رصيد. خابرني. خوش أبو درب.
I don't have enough recharge. Call me please cheater or liar.
Okay. Now let's highlight رصيد. رصيد. Here you need to know the meaning or how do they use it in the UK or in the USA. And then sometimes you try to open your dictionary, doesn't help. Why? Because they suggest charge, balance, whatever, doesn't make sense. In this case, you have to use your research competence. If you are not biocultural, and we are not biocultural, it's difficult to be biocultural. Therefore, you have to activate your what? Research competence. As a translator, you should have what? You should have research competence. And then you ask people, or search it, Google it, whatever, and they will discover they use what? Credit. And then this is at the semantic level, I don't have a credit. خابرني. Call me. خوش. Okay. Abu Darab.
Either I say cheater or liar or player.
Okay, yeah. Either you delete, this is one of the local strategies, sometimes we go for, you delete, why? Because it doesn't make sense, or you are not able to find equivalent, or you go for functional equivalent. تكافؤ وظيفي. Yes, Ali?
But can I say it's smartness? The smartness? يعني متحرك يعني
I'm not sure. Maybe. Okay.
I think it's
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Instead of liar or cheat.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to analyze everything. You have to analyze the elements of the context. I mean, the language, the level of the language, the register of the language here means what? Means they are friends, close friends. When you say Abu Darab or Khosh, whatever. And then either you delete or you go for functional equivalent, like using what? Okay, naughty boy, okay, naughty man, okay, whatever. This is what I have in my mind. Maybe you have more than me. So this is what you do when you try to find the deep structure. Sometimes we have a lot of words if you're stuck to the service structure and you try to translate, doesn't make sense. Therefore you have to what? You have to go for the deep structure. Yes, Nora?
Maybe we can just change the word Abu Darab into a sentence like when we say don't try not to play games with me, maybe?
Or don't play with me.
It makes sense. Makes sense. What do we call this? Those, I mean, who are interested in the equivalence-based theories. This is, according to Muhammad Farghal, additional equivalent. You focus on the idea. What is the idea? And then you try to what? You try to suggest something. If you go for functional equivalent, you go for what? Naughty boy. Yes, please.
But I guess we can use this way if we don't have a corresponding word or an equivalent.
Yes.
But we do have an equivalent for
yeah, but we are different. Sorry to interrupt you. We are different. I mean, people are different. So sometimes you have it into your mind, I don't have it. So therefore, sometimes you fail as a translator. You try to do your best, but you cannot have that equivalent, and then you have to do something. So as long as you are different, so these are one of the solutions that we have. We need.
Sorry, and when we say that, okay.
Yeah, but we need to call somebody. خلي خابر وارجع لكم. Okay, لحظة. You translate. I mean, the whole process. The process of translation takes V-shaped movement or U-shaped movement. Start from the service structure down to the deep structure, and then eliciting the kernel sentence, transfer that kernel sentence into another kernel sentence in the target language, and then you start working on that kernel sentence in the target language in order to have another service structure. And he suggested the three stages. Analysis, yes, we agree with him. And also cognitive approach, interpretive approach, you have to analyze the text. And the second one, he used the word transfer. And a year later, Cartford, 1965, reject the word transfer. He said translation process is what? Is replacement. You replace. Anyhow, so Naida used the word transfer, and then when you transfer, you start what? you start synthesis, means rewriting or re-expressing in order to be in line with the linguistic and stylistic norms of the target language. And we have another approach, cultural approach. Many scholars in 1980s, like Susan Bashnett 1980 and Snell Hopney 1988 and Filmer 1989, they say when you translate you need to be bicultural. Honestly, I don't agree with them. Why? Because it is difficult to be bicultural, but you could translate adequately and effectively by relying on what? By relying on a number of competences. Therefore, as a translator, you need to develop these competences. You need to have cultural competence, not bicultural, but at least you highlight any difficult word, you say this is what has a cultural dimension, and then you rely on research competence, كفاءة البحثية. And also you should have what? Linguistic competence, technical competence, and also we can add reading competence and contrastive competence. So as a translator, you need to work on these competences, a number of competences, and then there is no need to be biculture. If you face any difficult word, and then you could ask. If you have good social capital, you could search it, Google it, and so on. And here, according to this approach, you need to adopt as a translator an approach called etic-emic approach. Etic means what? Phonetic. Means what? Service level. They call it service level instead of service structure. And emic means what? Phonemic. Means what? Symbolic level. So it is similar to what Nida suggested, also deep structure, service level, symbolic level, and as a translator you need to be insider in both cultures. You need to be insider in the source language culture in order to understand. Again, you have to understand. And then you need to be insider in the target language culture in order to encode the experiences, conceptualize in the source language in order to reflect it in the target language. So you need to be what? You need to be insider. If you stuck to the service level, you will not produce adequate translation. So I think it is similar. Now let's go to, but the problem, we cannot carry on because we need the text. We try to apply the cognitive approach by translating this text. Let me change the text, let me use another text, and then I need you to what? I need you to do the cognitive approach proposed by Roger Bull. Let me remind you with the 5 steps. If you'd like to take notes, please try to take notes. The first step is what? Visual recognition. You have to recognize the lexical items. And the second one, syntactic parsing, إعراب. And the third one is semantic and pragmatic processing.
Sorry.
Yes, please.
Mechanism of lexical search. Third one.
Oh, sorry, the third one, I jumped to the fourth one, thank you. The fourth one is what? Mechanism of what? Lexical research. Means you start looking for the equivalence of the source text. And the fourth one is what? The semantic and pragmatic processes. And then you move to the fifth one is what? Encoding the drafts semantically, pragmatically, and lexico-grammatically. And we add the stylistic element as well. So you have 5 steps. The first one is easy. Just have a look at the text and you identify the easy word, the word that you are familiar with. No, I have difficulty here. Oh no, I know, but I do have what? I do have equivalent. Sometimes you do understand, but you don't have equivalent into your own mind. So you have to do something. Let me give you a sentence and then we practice. عندما, if you'd like to write please in Arabic. عندما ذهبت إلى القاهرة العام الماضي وجدت الناس طيبين. You have a sentence like that. عندما ذهبت إلى القاهرة العام الماضي وجدت الناس طيبين. Any difficult word? عندما ذهبت إلى القاهرة وجدت الناس طيبين. Now, let's move to the second one. The syntactic parsing. What is the type of the sentence? Is it simple?
No, it's not.
Is it compound? Is it complex? If you are not familiar with these terms, okay, it's okay. You can do it in a different way. You say, how many sentences do you have? Where is the subject? Where is the main verb, etc. You could ask yourself these questions. Anybody can tell me, can help me in analyzing or in the syntactic parsing of this sentence? Yes, please, Mr. Faraz.
We have the word عندما here.
Yeah.
I guess it's a conjunction here.
Okay.
Which means when.
Yeah.
So it's not a simple.
Yes, I agree with you. Excellent. This is good to start. So as long as you have عندما means what? When.
Yeah.
So it means what? A connector. So this means what? You have at least two sentences. We don't call them any more sentences. We call them clauses. It doesn't matter. These technical terms, it doesn't matter. But at least you know what? You have two sentences. And each sentence should have what? A subject and main verb. So عندما ذهبت. Where is the subject? Ali.
Me.
Okay.
It's implicit.
Okay. Why? Because ذهبت means what? It's not verb, it is subject plus verb. Where is the verb? ذهب. ذهبت. ذهب. Okay. Now, what is the tense of the verb? Okay. إلى القاهرة. إلى. So we do إعراب. Parsing. إلى. Sometimes you remember, sometimes you cannot remember because you are different.
Yeah.
So if you cannot remember, you say this is حرف جر, preposition, and the word after is what? Is a majrur, or you go for prepositional phrase إلى القاهرة together.
Yeah.
That's fine. Or you go for something if you are not able. You say this is complement, takmil.
Yeah.
What is important for you? Is what to identify the verb and the subject. And the tense, sometimes important. And later you decide you'd like to keep the tense or no, you change the tense because we have also difficulty in translating tenses. Why? Because in Arabic we have 3, but in English we have 12. Anyhow, عندما ذهبت إلى القاهرة العام الماضي either together you say this is adverb of time. Okay, and then you move.
To the second.
If you have comma, or if you don't have comma, doesn't matter. وجدت الناس طيبين. وجدت. Where's the subject? Where's the verb? This is the most important thing. Yes, please, Ruqayya.
I, the subject.
Okay.
The verb find.
No, this is translation. In Arabic, please. وجدت وجد. Okay, وجد is verb. What is the tense? الناس. وجدت الناس مفعول به. Okay. طيبين. And this is details. These details. Sometimes you are not able to go in details. طيبين حال منصوبة. Anyhow. Now we start what? No, حال I think. Yeah, it doesn't matter, but it is حال. Let's move to it now. Let's move to the third step. Start looking for what? For equivalence, okay, in the target language. عندما. What is عندما? With me, please, together. When? ذهبت. I went. إلى القاهرة. العام الماضي. Okay, and then we have comma. وجدت. I find or I found. So we try to reflect the tense. I found. What? الناس.
People.
The people or people?
All people.
Ali.
People without them.
So here, let's say what? Let's say it is what? It is the people.
Yeah.
for the moment. But later you have to activate what? The semantic and the pragmatic, and you have to start looking for what? Taking into account the linguistic and stylistic norms of the target language. But now it's written الناس, you could keep it, the people. طيبين, wonderful, okay, kind, good, yes, it makes sense. So far so good. Yes, please?
Can I say I found out?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, what is the difference between find and find out?
Found out, شفت.
Also, yes, we have it in Arabic the same word, like many examples. صوت, how do you translate صوت? Voice, sound, volume, vote. So you have one word in Arabic. Open, okay, and or يفتح, and you have what? You have many. So this is. I mean, you cannot rely on translation always. But let's move. Let's talk to the found, and then we move. Now, the fourth one, please. Start working on what? On the your draft, semantically and pragmatically. You may change it into find out. I don't know. You may keep it. You may delete. You may add. Yes, ready.
Can I say I found its people?
Okay. This is later. This is later when you start working on what? On the pragmatic and semantic. You may add. You may add. The fourth one, you may change the structure. You may change a lot of things. Yes, please, Ali.
When I went to Cairo last year, people were very kind.
So this is what you change it dramatically. You change it upside down. Why? Because you feel it is what it is better. So you are a translator and you have to decide. Now, yes, Nora?
Instead of I went, can you say that when I've been to Cairo last year?
You change the tense. Yes, you have the right. But the problem what? Problem you have to strike a balance between what? My students, please. Nuran said, can we say I have been.
When I have been to Cairo.
I have been to Cairo last year. Please. Can we accept that, or we have grammatical problem? I think we have a grammatical problem. Why? Because you decide to use last year. Last year is a time marker, is a keyword. You have to use what? The past tense. What is the shape of the past tense? Is what? Verb 2. Either ed or irregular. Here is better to use what? I went. So you see, you rely on grammar. So you need your grammar. So please try to work on your grammar in the two languages. Now the draft. I need you to submit your translation. When you try to submit your translation according to this approach, you have to include the draft semantically, pragmatically, and lexicogrammatically. And I added, if you remember, stylistically. And then this is my translation. This is, to borrow terms from Naida, this is the service structure in the target language. Yes, what is your final draft? Sometimes by accident, sometimes you stop at the third step. Why? Because you feel it makes sense, nice. Literal translation is nice. So that's it, you move on. Sometimes no, you have to do a lot of things. What is your translation? The final version of your translation. Yes, please.
When I went to Cairo last year, I found that people were good.
I found that
People. Not the people.
I found people
I found that people were good.
I found that.
Yeah.
And here you have another complex sentence inside what? Inside the main complex sentence. Yes, fine. Why? Because you feel this style is acceptable. When I went to Cairo last year, I found that people are or were.
Were.
Okay, can we say are? Sometimes also we accept are. Why? Because it is fact, or it is semi-fact, acceptable. But if you go for were, excellent. Why? Because you try to reflect the tense. I found, and then it's better to use the past tense, were. But if you say are, also acceptable.
Sometimes we can also add some adverbs. Like found that people there were good.
So when you add, why you add? Yes, we have the right to add. And this is one of the local strategies. When I add, because I try to add, I try to produce an acceptable text. And I feel when I add there, means my translation will be what? Acceptable. Yes, you have the right to delete, you have the right to add, you have the right sometimes to reorder the sentence. Is up to you. Sometimes you feel that this sentence I can't translate it in just one sentence, in a simple sentence. Yes, if you feel okay, yes. But when you finish, we're gonna evaluate the quality of your translation in terms of a number of factors: acceptability, readability, and comprehension, accuracy, and so on. This is the cognitive approach. Let me give you another sentence. أردشتري سيارة. Okay, can you write? This is in our dialect. أردشتري سيارة بس ما عندي فلوس. Do you have any difficult word? I think you don't have any difficult word, but sometimes you have to do what? You have to do intralingual translation. To borrow terms from Jacobson, 1959. You start translating within the same language. Why? Because it's difficult to transfer أردشتري سيارة بس ما عندي فلوس directly. It depends on your level, of course. So you try to translate the sentence into standard Arabic, and then you move from the standard into what? Into the target language. What is the translation, the intralingual translation? Yes, please.
I want to buy a
No, this is interlingual. I'm looking for intralingual. Translation within the same language. We're still in Arabic. I need you to translate from Arabic into Arabic. You see N. You have N now. There you don't have N. أردشتري. But now you change it into what? أريد أن أشتري سيارة أو سيارة. سيارة مفعول به. أريد أن أشتري سيارة بس لكن ما عندي فلوس. You could keep it because also standard ما عندي فلوس أو ليس لدي نقود. Or you change it into المال الكافي. And then when you do it in this way, you're going to have a lot of options. You see, you change it from ما عندي فلوس into ليس لدي المال الكافي. And then that will help you when you translate. Now, any difficult word? No. Now, do the syntactic parsing. Please keep quiet. Because we don't have electricity. So I'm trying to shout. So please try to help me. Now, do the syntactic parsing, please. Where is the subject? Where is the verb? What is the type of the sentence? We have a lot of questions. Yes, please.
the subject is I.
I.
And the verb is I want.
Okay, want. And what is the type of the sentence? Before you give it a go. Let's try to identify the type of the sentence. Sometimes you are not familiar with the terms, because technical terms, but please try, this is just a message for you, try to focus when you try to learn grammar, try to focus on the types of sentences, simple, compound, and complex. It is very important for you, as a translator, as a speaker, as a writer. What is the type of the sentence? Yes, please. Huh? No, it is not the tense, the sentence, the type of the sentence. بسيطة, معقدة, مركبة. Yes, Ali. Ali? Do we have connector?
Yeah.
Where is it?
But
But as long as you have connector, so it is not what? It's not simple. Either compound or complex. Here, to be honest, sometimes we get confused. Therefore, I'm not interested in this classification, compound or complex. As long as you know, is it simple or not? Why? Because it depends on the connector itself. If you know but, this means what? Compound. If you say complex, it is not the end of the world. مناهج العالم. You will do the job in a good way. but grammatically, I mean, you have problem. Anyhow, but what is the sentence? بس ما عندي فلوس. So, but okay, and where is the subject of the second? Where is the subject of the second clause? Ali?
It's the same, right?
I. What is the verb?
Indeed. I have.
We don't have here we don't have verb. Yes.
Don't. I don't.
No, don't is a helping verb. No, this is you rely. It's a good idea. You rely on translation. Okay. So we don't have. Yes, Nuran.
When we did the intralingual translating, we translated بس ما عندي to لكني أفتقر إلى المال.
No, you change it dramatically. You have a verb. أفتقر.
Yeah. So.
Quiet, please, Uday. Quiet. Uday, quiet.
Enough.
Okay. So أفتقر, you change it. Yes, we have a verb. But ليس ما عندي نقود ما عندي مال بس ما عندي ليس لدي. We don't have a verb. Why? Because it is مبتدا وخبر. مبتدا وخبر. And then as long as you have مبتدا وخبر, and then you have to also pay attention to the target language. You have to insert a verb. Why? Because in English you cannot have a sentence without a verb. Like أنا جوعان. أنا جوعان. If you say I'm hungry, wrong. So, sorry, if you say I hungry, wrong. So you have to inject the sentence with a verb. So here مبتدا وخبر, always you have problem. أنا طالب. So I mean many students sometimes forget to add am. They say, is it am student or am something else? أنا طالب. Also this is another difficulty that we have it at the let's say grammatical level. Why? Because in Arabic we don't have أنا طالب, but in English no, you have to add a. اشتريت سيارة car, and so on. Let's move. So now you have already done the syntactic parsing. It depends on your intralingual. It depends on your intralingual translation. For example, Nuran changed the sentence into أفتقر, and then she has a verb, but we don't have a verb when you keep it what. And then the third one, word by word now. Translation word by word. أريد أشتري. أريد أن أشتري. I want. Buy. I want buy. To buy. So here also, if you remember my lectures, I said please try to work on on sentences when they have more than one activity, when they have series of verbs. أردشتري أفكر أسافر means what? أن أسافر. Here it's not up to you, it's up to the first verb. Want, you decide to use want, always followed by what? By to. I want to. After to, buy. I want to buy a car or a car? A car. بس ما عندي فلوس. But yes.
But I have
no money.
not enough money.
No enough money.
But no enough money?
Or we can say
Yes, I agree with you, but you say but no enough money. Where is the subject?
I do not have money.
You don't have subject. You just connect a but and then no enough money. At the communication level, it's okay. I do understand your message. But grammatically, no, please be careful. You need the subject. Quiet, please. Quiet, please. Yes, Ali.
But I don't have enough money.
But I don't have enough money. Now, what is the tense in the original sentence? بس ما عندي. I think present.
Present.
And but also the first one, the first clause, أريد أشتري, also present. Yes, we don't have any problem. But I don't have money. And then we come to what? We come to the final. You have to include. It's not final. This is just a translation. Now you have to include the draft semantically, pragmatically, lexicogrammatically, and stylistically. You may suggest something completely different, but the same meaning. What is your final translation now? Nuran.
I want to buy a car, but I'm broke.
Okay. You go for an idiomatic expression. Okay. Yes, Hussein. Omar Hussein.
I would like to buy a car, but I don't have money.
But I don't have money. Excellent. Yes, Ali.
I want to buy a car, but I don't have enough money for it or for that.
But I don't have enough money, I think is enough. Full stop. If you say for, you are. You complicate things. Yes, please?
If we're focusing on the idea, then we can say, I wish I can buy a car if I have sufficient money.
Okay, you change it dramatically.
Yeah.
Yes, fine, you have the right. But again, sometimes it's not up to you, if you remember my lectures. Sometimes it depends on what? On the macro factors, the non-linguistic factors, the non-verbal factors, such as the purpose of translation. What is the purpose of translation? And then you decide which global strategy you're going to adopt. Either reader-oriented, this is reader-oriented, this is reader-oriented, and there, we don't call it reader-oriented, we call it what? We call it text author-oriented. What? Acceptable. Accurate and what? And acceptable. But here, acceptable. But they have a problem at what? At the accuracy level. Why? Because they change the style, they change a lot of things.
Yeah, that's why I said we're focusing on the idea.
Yes, yeah. That's why we have to accept whatever you suggest. But it's not, I will decide, not you, not me, but the macro factors. What are these elements that you have to take into account before deciding your global strategy? You have to take into account a number of factors before give it a go. Yes, please.
First of all, it's the message conveyed.
Okay, yes. What else? The purpose of translation. What is your purpose of translation? Why you try to translate this sentence or this text? What is the purpose? If I change the purpose of translation, I'm sure you're going to change what? Your global strategy.
Yeah.
So this is one of the chapter 5, please. You forget in my book, chapter 5. What else? Ali.
With the following, but I don't have enough money. I think my note is just right here. I think it's the best choice to say I don't have money, because there is a difference between saying I don't have enough money and don't have money to buy it.
Yes, yes, I agree with you, but my question to you, are you focusing on acceptability or accuracy?
Here?
I mean, in your discussion, I think you are focusing on what?
Accuracy.
You are focusing on what?
Yeah.
On accuracy.
Because there is a huge difference between saying enough money or money.
That's well done, but you have to be careful. You are discussing what? The accuracy. Can we start, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have a lot of. Yes, where is? Okay. Yes. Now let's move to our text. We have already finished. I need you to translate this text, please. Yes. We have the source text, and this is the first part, please. Yeah, sorry. We have a text like that. Look at this text. I need you to translate that text by adopting cognitive approach proposed by Roger Brown. And also, we have already explained the differences between this approach and many other approaches. The linguistic approach, the interpretive approach, and the cultural approach, etc. Now let's start. What are the main steps? Let me just have a look at it. We have 5 steps. These are the 5 steps. Visual recognition. You have to recognize the words. Are you familiar with these words or not? And the second one is what? Syntactic parsing. You do it up. And the third one, you start what? Mechanism of lexical search. And the third one is what? Or the fourth one, semantic and pragmatic processing. And the fifth one, you have to work on your draft. You have to encode your draft semantically, pragmatically, and lexicogrammatically. Let's start now with the text, please. Have a look at this, the first part of the text. Only 3 weeks after the start of the fighting, they had entered Baghdad, and the Iraqi leader's grip on power had withered. the majority population, which had to a large extent been excluded from power, was initially jubilant. So the first step you have to read. Why do you read? Because in order to understand. And according to this approach, also you have to highlight any difficult word. Any difficult word? Okay. We may have a problem with grip. We may have a problem with it. We may have a problem with jubilant. So normally, when you translate, you do what? You ask yourself this question, a difficult words. I guess you have difficulty with these. Now let's move to what? To our dictionary. And you open your dictionary, or you ask a person, and you'll discover grip as a noun or as a verb. As a noun means what? A very tight, forceful hold. Understanding or control or skill in a subject or activity, a special way of holding. Grip as a verb is a very tight hold of something. Is it verb or noun here? Look at the text here. Is it verb or noun?
It's a noun.
Ali?
It's a noun.
So you see the importance of grammar? If you know the grammar, you have apostrophe S. Means what? Means noun. So it is noun. So, and you move to wither as a verb, means what? To become or cause something to become reduced in size, color, strength, etc. And the last one, jubilant, adjective, means what? Filled with or expressing great joy, especially at success, when you succeed and you feel like you are happy. This is the meaning of jubilant. Now, okay, you finished, and now let's start with the second one, the syntactic parsing. I need you to do it by yourself, and then I'm going to help you. Let's start with the first sentence. Where the end of the sentence is easy in English, but in Arabic it's difficult. Why? Because in English, the end of the sentence is the full stop, but in Arabic, no. Sometimes you have the whole paragraph without a full stop. So here, where's the end of the sentence? A 3-4 line. Okay. What is the type of this sentence? And again, I'm not interested in telling me this is simple or compound, but try to help yourself. Sometimes you fail to name the sentence, but you are still able to analyze where's the main verb, where's the main subject, etc. Only 3 weeks after the start of the fighting, they had entered Baghdad, and the Iraqi leader's grip on power had withered. Do you have a connector? Yes, Fatima.
It's compound sentence.
Why?
Because there is and
Excellent. As long as you have a connector, so it is not simple. It is either compound or complex. It is compound. Assume that you are not able to distinguish between compound and complex. Doesn't matter. You carry on. Now it means what? You have two parts, two clauses. The first one. Where is the main subject? Where is the main verb? Only 3 weeks after the start of the fighting, they had entered Baghdad. How many clauses is it? 2 or 3?
3.
How many clauses? Clauses mean sentences, but in English they don't call it clauses. They don't call it sentences. They call it what? Clauses. In Arabic we call it jumal. 3. 2. Only the first sentence, please. 3 clauses or 2? 2. Okay.
I believe there are 3.
Okay, we will see. Yeah, sometimes you get confused. When you say 3, where's the first one? Only 3 weeks after the start of the fighting. This is the first one. Okay, where's the verb? Where's the subject? What is the tense?
It's a verb.
So it is not close. It is not close anymore. As long as without verb, without subject, without a tense, so it is not close. We don't call it close in English grammar. So it is what just phrase. Just phrase. Yes, just phrase. So we have a phrase, clause, and another clause. Now, let's start with the first clause, which is second clause, you call it. They had entered Baghdad. Where is the subject? They. Where is the main verb? Entered. What about had? Auxiliary verb, helping verb, etc. What is the tense? I mean, when you translate into Arabic, what is important? You tell me past or present or future? Past. If you are able to tell me it is what? Past perfect. Sometimes we are not able. We do understand everything. We are perfect translator, but we are not familiar with this name, which is technical term. Had entered Baghdad and connected, and we have another clause. Where is the subject?
Leaders group.
Okay, Ali? Okay. Ali?
The Iraqi leaders group.
Okay, together.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let me change my question. Where is the main element in the subject? Because you said subject, a group of words. Always we have what? We have a keyword. Ali.
The leaders.
Okay.
Leaders.
Okay.
Group.
So I think it's group. The group of. If you change it, the group of. So the keyword is what? Group. Okay. Now let's move to the second. Oh, that's it. We don't have. Yeah. Where is the main verb? With. And what about had? Auxiliary verb. That's fine. So you do what? You do passing. Now let's translate. Let's start translating word by word. Yes, Sukayna.
فقط بعد 3 أسابيع من بدء القتال دخلوا بغداد منهين بذلك قبضة القائد العراقي.
Okay, that's enough. But you said munhina. Where's munhina? We don't have it. You jump. I think you jump. You jump. No, we are looking for what? We are looking word for word translation. Means what? Only فقط 3 weeks. ثلاثة or ثلاث. Why is it?
يخالف في القواعد العالمية
Yes, أسبوع مذكر. Therefore you have to go for ثلاثة. Another question. 3 أسابيع 3 أسابيع 3 أسابيعا.
3 أسابيع.
3 أسابيع مضاف يكون مجرور.
فاطمة. It's not تمييز. I think مضاف ومضاف إليه. 3 أسابيع. But you have to be careful. Is it what? ممنوع من الصرف. وبالتالي we cannot put تنوين. We have to go for what? For فتحة.
3 أسابيع.
منصوب or مجرور. And we say 3 أسابيع. Why? Because على وزن مفاعيل. Or if you are not interested in this story, as long as you have plural, جمع, and you have alif, and after alif you have 2 letters or 3, and then ممنوع من الصرف. Examples.
مفاتيح.
مفاتيح. You cannot say مفاتيح. You cannot say مفاتيح. You cannot say مفاتيحا. ممنوع من الصرف. What else?
مجاميع.
مجاميع, مصابيح, مساجد, نوافذ. You see, this we call it what? We call it ممنوع من الصرف. I mean, one of the ممنوع من الصرف. We have a lot. Anyhow, this is just a grammar. From time to time, I try to draw your attention to be a professional translator. You have to work on what? You're on Arabic. You have to work on your Arabic. In grammar, style, everything. Now, فقط 3 أسابيع بعد بدء القتال هم دخلوا بغداد الإداركي وقبضة القائد ولا القوات ولا القيادة. Literal translation حرفية.
قبضة القائد العراقي.
القائد. Why? Because the apostrophe before that. So it is قائد. They talk about, I think, Saddam Hussein. So قبضة القائد العراقي on power على السلطة أو في السلطة have withered. You have difficulty here. Why? Because withered, according to the dictionary meaning, means what? What is it?
It's vice versa.
Look at the English meaning. Wither means what? To become or cause something to become reduced in size, color, strength. Now, we do understand with the problem. Could you suggest any equivalent for this word, other verb? ارتخت. Okay.
تلاشت.
تلاشت.
أفلتت.
أفلتت. You see, we have difficulty. ضعفت. Okay, we have difficulty. Maybe later, because you have a text, and you have context and co-text, and then you may suggest something completely different. Anyhow, so, قبضة القائد العراقي على السلطة، ذبلت، ذوت، ضعفت, etc. Now, you need to work on what? On your draft, pragmatically and semantically. And when you finish activating these two processes, and then you start what? Including your draft according to the lexical, according to the grammar, according to the semantics, stylistics, and so on. Pragmatics. Now, I need your final version. Yes, please.
هنا بدل ما نبدي فقط 3 أسابيع ممكن نقول بعد 3 أسابيع فقط من اندلاع القتال دخلوا بغداد وضعفت قبضة القائد العراقي عن السلطة.
Okay. In terms of acceptability, we have a problem with what? We have a problem with readability. I mean, you feel it is what? It is a translation. So you could improve it, but it's not up to you, it's up to the macro factors. Purpose of translation, text type, readership, etc. In terms of accuracy, it's accurate. Therefore, if somebody asks you, please, I'm looking for accurate translation, perfect. If somebody knows, I'm looking for acceptable translation, it's not perfect, you could improve. Yes, Adi.
دخلوا بغداد بعد 3 أسابيع فقط من القتال، وارتخت أو ضعفت قبضة القائد العراقي على السلطة.
Okay. Another version?
This is acceptability.
I mean, we still have problem with readability. Sometimes you do your best, you shoot your bolt, but you still have problem. This is very normal. I'm not saying I'm better than you, but we feel it is what translation. Yes, Zayd.
بعد مرور 3 أسابيع فقط من بدء القتال دخلوا بغداد وحينها اتخذ قبضة القائد.
Okay, so we have a problem with what ارتخذ. Let's have a look at what we have here. This is the syntactic parsing. Look at here, subject, main verb, connector, subject, and we have main verb, had plus with it, and the second sentence we're gonna do it together. This is the third step. We're still in the third step. We're still in the literal translation. فقط 3 أسابيع بعد بدء القتال دخلوا بغداد وقبضة القائد العراقي تلاشت. What is your opinion in terms of accuracy and acceptability? I think it's accurate, but it's not acceptable.
Yes.
So you need what? You need to improve it. Now the fourth step, semantic and pragmatic processing. فقط 3 أسابيع بعد بدء القتال دخلوا بغداد وقبضة القائد العراقي تلاشت. هي بعد بدء القتال ب3 أسابيع فقط دخلوا بغداد وانتهت قبضة القيادة العراقية. You change قائد into قيادة. Why? Because you are looking for what? For something acceptable. And we have a problem with it. So I suggested انتهت. Sometimes you say no, it's not perfect. We can improve it. Yes, we can. Now let's go back to the second sentence, please, quickly. The majority population, which had to a large extent been excluded from power, was initially jubilant. Again, you have to do what? You have to do parsing. syntactic parsing. What is the type of this sentence? Do you have connector? Let's change the question sometimes, because you are not able, including me, sometimes you are not able to identify the type of the sentence. You change your question. Say, do you have a connector? Yes.
Yes.
Where is it? Which? As long as you have connector, so it is not simple. It should be either compound or complex. What do you think? Complex. Why? Because you have which? Relative clause. So it is what? Complex. Complex means what? You have two clauses with two verbs, with two subjects maybe. Where is the main clause and where is the subordinate clause? Let me change it. Where are the two clauses? Just the majority population.
Subject. Population.
Yes, then?
From the majority to power, the first clause was initially jubilant, the second clause.
No, I think you have to do it the other way around. Yes, Ali?
I think the first clause is they had entered Baghdad.
No, we finished the first one. Now let's have a look at what. Try to delete the relative clause. Delete. Where's the relative clause start with which? Delete. You're gonna have what? You're gonna have the main clause. The majority population was initially jubilant. This is one clause. And the second clause is what? Which had to a large extent been excluded from power. This is the second one. Okay. So who is the subject of the first clause, who is the subject of the second clause, and so on. You do parsing. Now let's translate word by word. Let's activate the mechanism of lexical search. This is the third one. The majority population. أغلبية السكان. Which التي quite which التي had to a large extent been excluded. What is this? Where is the verb? Many verbs maybe had. So here you have to what? You have to consult your what? Your pieces of information stored into your mind from previous reading. If you are a good reader of English and you discover to a large extent something you could delete. What does it mean? Ali?
To facilitate this sense for us for the purpose of translation, we can say has been excluded.
Excellent. So you delete to a large extent. Why? Because it is additional information. What does it mean? You have to be familiar with some expressions in English in order to understand. Otherwise, you may translate literally, and then you're going to have a funny translation. So, what is the meaning of to a large extent? إلى حد كبير, إلى حد بعيد, إلى. So it is what? Yeah, whatever you suggest is correct. So it means what? It has nothing to do with the verb, and the main verb is what? Excluded. Had been excluded. What is the voice? Active or passive?
Of course.
Passive. Yes. How do you know? From the form.
Yeah.
Had been. So passive. You see, you add a lot of information to your analysis. From power, this is preposition and noun, and then you have the main clause, subject, with the verb of the main clause. The main clause, if you remember, the majority population was. So the main verb is what? Was. And jubilant is adjective. This is what, you do syntactic parsing. Look at what we have here. The main clause, adjective, relative clause, relative pronoun, had been excluded, verb, passive, from power, clause of phrase, etc. Depends. You do it different from mine. It's okay. Now let's start with what? With the translation. Literal translation. You start with mechanism of lexical search. The majority population.
أغلبية السكان.
أغلبية السكان.
الذين أبعدوا عن السلطة.
بقوة يعني يبعدوا بشكل كبير عن السلطة يعني كانوا أكثر سعادة أو أكثر ارتياح.
Okay. What about initially? Sometimes you have difficulty to put out verb, so you decide to delete. Sometimes you know it is important. If you are looking for text author-oriented, translation means accuracy, and then you have to translate every single word. But if you are looking for acceptability, you have the right to delete. Let's have a look at what we have here, and then we could discuss it together. وأغلبية السكان الذين استبعدوا لدرجة كبيرة من السلطة ابتهجوا لأول مرة. That's okay to a certain degree, but we may improve it. If somebody asks you, no, I'm looking for acceptable translation. Means what? Free translation. Add, delete, manipulate. Can you improve it? Yes. Look at what we have here. This is the first translation, is accurate translation. بعد بدء الختام ب3 أسابيع فقط دخلوا بغداد وانتهت قبضة القيادة العراقية على السلطة، وأن أغلبية السكان الذين استبعدوا بدرجة كبيرة عن السلطة ابتهجوا لأول مرة. If you are looking for, let's say, acceptable translation, you may delete لم يمض على القتال 3 أسابيع حتى دخلوا. If you change it to اجتاحوا, here you try to approach the text with what? With ideological approach. Why? Because you are influenced by your accumulated value system. Yes. And then you change دخلوا into اجتاحوا. So be careful. I mean, it depends on the circumstances of the translation. حتى دخلوا بغداد معلنين بذلك نهاية الحكم السابق. Where is قبضة القيادة العراقية? You delete. You change it dramatically. Why? Because you are looking for something acceptable. وأن الأغلبية من السكان التي قد استبعدت إلى حد كبير من السلطة تنفست الصعداء للمرة الأولى. Where is تنفس الصعداء? We don't have it. But no, you are looking for what? For something acceptable. But if somebody asks you, no, I'm looking for accurate translation, the second one is bad. Why? Because it's not accurate. But the first one is perfect. No, I'm looking for acceptable, the second one is perfect. The first one is okay to a certain degree.
Text oriented and reader oriented.
Yes. حسنين please. Yes.
بالترجمة الثانية بالنص الثاني لم يمضي على القتال لو نخلي كلمة سوى أفضل.
Excellent. Yes, excellent.
حتى نقلل.
Yes, excellent. Why? Because if you put siwa, you keep what? You keep acceptability, and also you try to what? You try to reflect only. Well done, Hassan. You see? So you try. You try. We are different. And also you are different from yourself. Sometimes you suggest translation now, later you may suggest something completely different. Therefore we have to accept your translation. Now, yes please.
We said the first translation is accurate, the second one is acceptable. How about having an acceptable and an accurate translation at the same time?
This is perfect. This is what we try to look. Sometimes we are looking for what acceptable and accurate, but always there is tug-of-war. If you pay attention to the accuracy, and then you affect the acceptability, and the other way around. But sometimes you are lucky, and then you will have what you have accurate and acceptable. Please let's rush our feet because time is running. Look at this tense quickly. We have only, I think, 10 minutes. And then we may leave. Look at here, we have another text. However, optimism gradually gave way to despair as insurgent groups, mainly drawn from embittered, dismissed army officers and supporters of the former regime, began an increasingly bloody campaign of bomb attacks. How many sentences? Only one. Is it simple? Is it compound? Is it complex?
Compound.
Let me change. Sometimes you have compound and complex together. That's why some grammarians classify sentences into 4. Simple, compound, complex, and compound and complex together. Here, how many connectors do you have?
2.
The first one, we don't call it connector. Why? Because it is a connector at the paragraph level. Connect the previous sentences to this sentence. Therefore, just try to turn a blind eye to that connector and start with the second one and third one if you have. As. Is that connector?
Yes.
What is the meaning of as here? Because as has a lot of meaning. Either ك or حينما بينما or sister of because, synonym to because. So here you have to activate your knowledge. So here as means because. Because insurgent groups mainly drawn from embittered, dismissed army officers and supporter. Supporter, is that connector at the closest level or not connector at word level? I think no.
Word level.
Word level, yes.
Yes.
So just connect two words, two phrases. Officers of the officer regime began increasing bloody campaign of both attacks. So it is what? It is complex. It's not complex compound. Complex. Two clauses. You have only one connector and. Sorry, as. Why? Because and in the middle, just you try to connect two words, two phrases. Now, let's start. The mechanism of lexical search. Optimism. However, let's start with however. بالرغم من إلا أن بيد أن غير أن لكن. So we have a lot. Optimism. تفاؤل. Gradually. تدريجيا. Give way. تفسح تعطي طريق. To desper. Yes. As لأن, because you know the meaning of as here, because لأن insurgent groups. Here you have different ideologies.